welcome to this fireside chat on this nice Mumbai winter day. Actually, today the weather forecast is that we will be below 20 degrees for the first time in this season. So very, very apt setting. It's my pleasure to have Prabhdeep here, who, as we just heard, is a director and head direct-to-consumer, the e-commerce business at PUMA. And we have about 15-20 minutes. There's a timer there, so we'll keep to that time and try to bring this event back to some sort of semblance. So just to kind of start off, right, Prabhdeep, great brand. You've obviously kind of know everybody in the room as they come back in is aware of it. You head the e-commerce business, which is exactly what customer-centric business we would call it, as the topic of our today's chat is. I guess the question just comes in, PUMA, been a brand for years, very, very successful. You've operated through retail stores, franchisees or company-owned or whatever, different models, right? And that model has been pretty successful. That's how all of us have bought shoes. Yeah. Another thing, where does this direct-to-consumer fit into the overall, and why? And I know you've been one of the pioneers in terms of the amount of sales you get through this channel. So the first question, just to start off, is where does this direct-to-consumer business fit in? How does it drive customer centricity, which is our topic for today? Would just be helpful to kind of hear from you.
Sure. Thanks, Abhishek. So while I had the e-commerce business, or the D2C e-commerce business for PUMA India, PUMA has a fairly strong presence on the offline side as well. And the D2C buzzword is recent, but we have been doing D2C even through our owned and operated retail stores for a while now, right? So it's not something that has come up in the last couple of years. Anyways, let me, as an ex-consultant, I'll give you 3 points, not 2, not 4, 3 points on why I think the D2C channel is extremely important for us, right? I think the first thing, which is very cliched, but it brings you closer to the customer, right? And that is very true, right? It kind of tells you what the customer really wants, how they want it, at what price points they want it, because the listening that you do to the customer is pretty much always on, right? And I'll give you one example, right? So nobody's losing sleep if they don't get their shoe the same day, right? So you would think that, oh, the customer is okay to wait for a few days to get their favorite pair of shoes that they have just ordered. But then you put a express tag on your listing page, and you see the sales shoot up for that shoe, and you know that, oh, this customer really wants the shoe the same day or the next day, right? And you can take decisions based on that, right? So this is just one example of how it brings you closer to the customer. I think the second bit is that not only it brings it closer to it brings you closer to the customer, but it also makes the data flow to you really, really fast. And we of course have a panel, I think, after this, which is more about how to build D2C brands. D2C is not cheap, okay, and it may not be the most efficient channel to start with. And therefore, if the data coming in is like a day late or even a few hours late, you would have lost a lot of money, right? So I think the instantaneous nature of the data flow and the decisions that you can take on top of that is probably the second thing which is very important. The third thing, which I believe is kind of more important than the first two, is it lets me control the customer experience. Right? And we can have, of course, mediators, and they are the mediators in the industry are also doing a great job. They are giving us a great platform. But if I can fully control the customer experience, I can actually stay true to the brand values, right? I may have a no questions asked return policy or a refund policy, while some other company might ask 5 questions before they do that. Right? So for me to be able to fully control the experience, to give what my customer really wants, I think that is something which I can do on my own website or on my own shopping app, a lot easier than what I would do on another platform or through wholesaler or distributor.
Cool. Thanks, Prabhdeep. So helps you control experience, helps you make quick decisions, and as you said, gets you closer to the customer, right? One of the, for any brand, right, I think being close to the customer, listening what they are saying, both good and bad, right, is a critical element, right? I think all of us can sit here, make presentations, or think about what we want the brand to stand for, but eventually a consumer or a customer will speak, right? Anything you are doing specifically, how are you, because there's so much voice out there, right? What's true, what's not, what's real, what's not, and so two questions, right? How are you listening and coming closer? And then secondly, how are you using that data, right? At the end of the day, you can listen, but if you don't change, it'll be a one-sided conversation. So,
yeah, I mean, it's with the amount of data that we capture, or I would say the industry captures, it's very easy to get lost in it, right? So, I think almost everybody is hearing. I don't know if people are actually listening, right? So, so you hear the data, which I would say is equivalent to kind of collecting data, right, from different sources. Whether you're on the marketplaces or on your own platform, the customer journey data, how many clicks the customer is making, where they are making. So all of that data, of course, we collect, right? And I'm pretty sure that many of my peers sitting here would be saying the same thing. But what is most important is how do you actually use that data, right? So I think there are many tools available now. You go on to an Amazon or a Myntra or a Flipkart and look, and there are tools to scrape reviews and tools to hear and listen what customers are saying. But if you do not take that into account into your, say, product development, or pricing, or the kind of promotions, or what you want to tell to the customer, it is of no use. I'll give you a very simple example, right? So Puma has this iconic shoe called the Suede, and if you go to North America or even Europe, it's a basketball-inspired shoe, and it does really well, right? And Puma is kind of known for it, right? But very simple insight is that it doesn't work as well in India because the material gets dirty. Right, so you have to, you take that into account. You have to, therefore, when you're building product for India or you're buying product for India from, say our central factories, it has to be of, primarily say PU or some material that doesn't get dirty that easily, right? So it's a very simple, insight that you can get if you are actually listening to what the customers are saying, and there will be reviews about that on different platforms, that you hear, and then you take your buying decisions accordingly, right? So that helps you become a lot more efficient, in doing the D2C business or in doing your overall business otherwise. Yeah.
Excellent. So I hope you got that. Hearing is not good enough. Listening is not good enough. You need to act on it, and good examples of that. Prabhdeep, shifting on, it's also highly competitive space, lots of brands, lots of offerings, the sessions today, and we'll hear from many players who are doing that. Consumers are also becoming very demanding, and they have too many choices available. How do you kind of, through the entire connect with consumers, how do you stay relevant, right? Is it something that worries people at PUMA and worries you with everything that's happening? Is it, kind of excites you? How would you frame the next 1 or 2 years, right?
Yeah, it's more the latter. I mean, it definitely excites us. I think worry is not the right word to use for this, right? So, look, I mean, the next couple, I would say, first of all, the last few years have been pretty good, right? I think, yes, there was COVID, and that helped at least the e-commerce bit a lot. It also helped our industry overall, right, with athleisure becoming more and more mainstream, kind of casual office wear becoming more and more mainstream, right? So that has helped our industry and let's say my division of e-commerce a lot. But the next couple of years are also looking very, very exciting. I mean, we will end this year at a high note. Things have been good so far. but tying back with it, like if we first of all, if we don't, again, I'll not use the word worry, but if you don't pay heed to the customer, and on what she or he or she wants, we'll of course not succeed. We may not be able to maintain our number one position, and so therefore, what we are doing in terms of investments on the data science and analytics front is something which will help us use this opportunity or this loads of data that we have in our data lake, right? And then the ultimate goal, and again I'll make a very cliched statement, is that ultimate goal is to actually personalize, right? There is a lot of clutter out there that today's customer has to deal with. We were discussing about the Insta feed, a while ago, right? And you look at one shoe company and everybody else jumps on the bandwagon, and I'm sure Meta is behind that. But there's a lot of clutter out there, right? And therefore, the winner of let's say the next few years is going to be somebody who actually personalizes that feed for you, so that you really want to buy that shoe that you are seeing, just like you did. And I'll not name the company here because it wasn't PUMA. So I think that is the most important thing. I think secondly, like like we did, we went native with our shopping app, and making sure that on the shopping app we are making the journeys very, very personalized. It is rare for a mono brand to have their own shopping app, and actually PUMA started their shopping app in India globally, before any other country, right? So that is another example of our investment into personalizing the journey, for our customer. And this whole thing that you can do with data, and I'll make a third cliche statement about ML and AI. These words are everybody is using them, but people don't really know if they are being useful or not. But I strongly feel that if you are able to do it properly, that is what is going to make the world a little clutter-free for the Gen Z, who is bombarded right now with information and new brands coming up. And I feel very confident on the investments that we are making at PUMA to see good growth, not just for the next couple of years. I think that is going to serve us well for maybe 5-6 years.
Okay. One quick follow-up question, right? Global firm, obviously lots of resources. Where does India fit into this? Net innovator, borrower of talent, sending talent out. Like where do you think, both from a product, technology, insights perspective, how do you kind of play that?
I think we are very, very strong about India for India, and I think it starts from the top, right? We have had an Indian CEO for a while now, forever. I think we entered the market pretty late as compared to some of our peers. We entered in 2006. By 2014, we were the biggest sportswear brand in the country. And I think the decisions around getting India for India, which is developing the product in India, maybe manufacturing it in India, making the buying choices as per what the Indian consumer wants. Secondly, getting the right kind of ambassadors. Of course, goes without saying. I think everybody here knows Virat is one of our biggest ambassadors. So getting the right kind of Indian ambassadors, who the customer, the Indian customer, really understands, and gets influenced by. I think those are the kind of decisions that have been taken, and I have not been with PUMA long enough, so I can't take credit for it. But I think those are the kind of decisions that have kept PUMA India where it is, right? And I also strongly feel that it's also because there is not. The global board has kind of given us that freedom, right? That you do your job. Make sure that we maintain or increase our stronghold in India, and global is there for support. More than driving what happens here, right? So I think that also is very important, right? And tying back to the whole D2C thing, if you are thinking only global and a global brand, then we would be only. Let's say having more suedes here than other shoes that we currently have. So,
excellent. The clock there, I'll hear the buzzer in about 15 seconds. It winds down. So there were a topic. We said we will not talk about football. Puma's team and players are not exactly doing well, so we will not go there. But just before the clock runs down, one personal question, right? White shoes. You know, white shoes seems to be in. I don't know, in the audience, how many of you are wearing white shoes today? If you could raise your hand. Only 2 or 3. How many of you own a white shoe or you bought?
Good.
Yeah, so I think everybody who's younger than 30 or wants to be younger than 30 is doing
just
that.
Like
you are wearing them, Prabhdeep.
Yeah.
Is that the new thing, or what's the other new
I'm younger
insight?
than 30. That's what it is. No,
So, but is that a significant part of your sales? Is white the new?
Yes,
apart
it
from
is.
consultants who have to wear black, right?
Yes, and that's what our, like, I mean, I'll bore them out, but yeah, our SEO team suggested that we create a page for it because there were a lot of searches for white sneakers. So yeah, it is the in thing.
Okay, excellent. So thank you. Thanks a lot, Prabhdeep, for taking out time. Thanks for the audience to kind of join in. I think that's the only time slot we have. So great
Thanks,
pleasure hosting
thanks,
this.
Abhishek.
Cheers.
Thanks.